Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I had a little glitch there. It took like 5 seconds before my computer showed that it was actually recording. So today, here's what we're dealing with. Last night, I was watching Jaws 2 with the family. We were enjoying it. We were at the part where the sailboat, Chief Brody was on the little boat, and he's got the boat oar, and he's about to beat on that pipe or the line that's got the electricity running through it, and then lightning struck here, and it took out the connection. Then woke up this morning, and the internet had been restored, but apparently the lightning took out my modem. So I'm running this off of my phone, and so let's see if we're able to get through this video without the videos that I play stalling out. I think we can. I ended up putting my phone outside so that I can get a better signal. So we shall see. Now yesterday, CoinDesk ran this article, doubts about SBF's alleged fraudulent activities have intensified with the second FTX asset recovery report. David Morse delves into the scandalous revelations in the newest report. Second FTX asset recovery report is packed with bombshells, and then they go through them. But what I point out to this guy, this David Z. Morris, is how do you even write this article without going into this shady as it can be looking organizational chart of FTX? I believe that if you went through this chart, company by company, there is no telling where it leads. And now that we know that basically every government entity in the United States was working with Sam Bankman-Fried, I wouldn't be surprised if one or many of these organizations, and with what we know of China, I wouldn't be surprised if many, if not one or two of these organizations have a road that leads to our government, one, and then possibly China, two. Okay? I don't know that, but I'm just saying, with everything else we've seen, I'll be shocked if something in here does not, or let me add a third, Ukraine. Okay? Because remember, this guy was donating to Ukraine too. So if you really want to track FTX, I think that's pretty necessary to go through that org chart. Now, Ripple put this out yesterday. We're experiencing a seismic shift in finance. While cross-border payments are traditionally costly and slow, these guys in the Financial Times, so this is a Financial Times article that's been put out on how blockchain's driving the next era of global payments networks. Then we had this from XRP Darren. He interviewed the Cowboy Crypto, who is Craig DeWitt, or Crypto Cowboy. So not to be confused with Cowboy Crypto, who is the official cowboy of the Digital Asset Investor channel. So listen to this. This is with XRP Darren, and it's a good clip. Listen to this.
So, right, and it could be just an option, right? Like FedWire is an option. You don't have to use FedWire. You can use ACH, which I believe is the private sector, right? That does ACH. So it's not in the end all be all. Now, with all that being said, though, I believe the Fed actually has announced the FEDNOW platform, right? That's live now. So we do have real-time payments as we speak, or is it, I think it's coming up soon or something. Does that make Ripple's work easier to do? If, the last mile type of situation, having that upgraded infrastructure going from one corridor to the next, does that make everything easier and smoother?
Yeah, so starting with what FedNow is, I like FedNow because it starts offer a level playing field. Historically, commercial banks like JP Morgan who have accounts everywhere and a critical mass of accounts have been able to do things just on their internal ledger that other banks can't, namely instant transfers, because that's just ones and zeros on their own database. FedNow is cool because anybody who has an account at the Federal Reserve, whether you're a credit union or a financial institution, you have access to doing these instantaneous payments. And what that means is now they can offer better experiences to their customers, whether it's through your banking app or something else to do instant payments, including to merchants. It's very cool. That's actually good for business in the United States. Now, like in terms of where that goes for a company like Ripple really benefits from more efficient domestic payment systems. And I think one thing that we learned very early on is that domestic payment systems, while they are not perfect, like buying a cup of coffee today with a credit card with Visa, not that bad, right? Like the actual rails themselves aren't that bad. Where you run into a little bit of trouble is the actual mechanics around the dollar itself and the infinity printing press that goes up. But putting that aside, domestic payments are actually decent today. FedNow is going to make that a little better. There's going to be other innovations as well. The real problem in payments, like the one that hurts the worst, is how you string together international payments. Because for domestic payment, usually you have a central bank, and that central bank is able to do things as fast as they want to because everything reconciles to their ledger. On a cross-border basis, you don't have a supranational bank. There's no bank of banks, right? Unless you're talking about Citigroup. And so getting rid of those correspondent banks.
Remember what Chris Larson said that XRP was going to be, was like a supranational currency. I didn't pull up the clip here, but it's the one where he's like in the woods somewhere with this guy, with like a foreign speaking guy. And he's talking about how he pictures XRP and Ethereum and Bitcoin and a handful of these as supranational currencies. So no, FedNow is not going to be using XRP, but I think that what they're really saying is that this thing is laying the pipes that are going to make it easier for XRP to be that supranational currency.
And just connecting to hyper-efficient domestic systems, that's a future where you could have instantaneous cross-border payment from, call it US to Japan for fractions of a penny. And, that's not going to use a currency to do that, a government-denominated currency. That's going to use a crypto asset, and XRP is really well suited for that.
There you go. Okay, Cameron Winklevoss, these guys, the Winklevoss brothers, have finally decided that they want to help in the fight. They didn't want to help when it was just XRP, but now they want to fight. They want to really jump into this fight now that they're under attack. Today marks 10 years since Tyler and I filed the spot Bitcoin ETF. And then he goes on about how the SEC has failed as a regulator. Here's why. Protected investors from the best performing asset of the last decade, pushed investors into toxic products like Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, which trades at a massive discount to NAV and charges astronomical fees, pushed spot Bitcoin activity offshore to unlicensed and unregulated venues, pushed investors into the arms of FTX. It was all by design, folks. Gary Gensler has done all of this intentionally. Maybe SEC will reflect on its dismal record. I don't think Gary Gensler sees it as a dismal record. I think he sees it as his manipulation that he wanted to occur, along with Elizabeth Warren. The Sam Lyman from Forbes today wrote this article, From Ally to Agnostic, the Adversary. Gary Gensler has had multiple positions on crypto over years, but there's logic behind his contradictory statements. And what this article's about is it takes you through the 3 stages. I don't think these are 3 stages of Gary Gensler evolving. I think these are all planned. I think these people they plan everything. Look at this. Stage 1, the Ally from 2018 when he was at MIT, 2018 to 20. He's talking about how Gary Gensler was an ally to crypto and all of that. Then as you get to stage 2, the Agnostic, 2021, press statements, Gensler's tone shifts from openness to skepticism, in some cases hostility. SEC begins signaling the need for more regulation, calling crypto the Wild West. Then stage 3, the adversary, 2023 to present. After FTX, which they were all meeting and planning with. Remember, the shadiest stuff in crypto, the Ethereum free pass, FTX, not just the SEC, but the CFTC was meeting with both of them. The White House was meeting with FTX. Congress was meeting with FTX. They were planning things. We're not supposed to find out what they were planning because nobody tells us. They won't disclose any of that. I haven't even seen Congress doing any real push to find out what is behind FTX and what they were planning with them. But anyway, the adversary. But now watch this part, because this is where it gets interesting. I call it the anchor strategy. This right here is the politics, folks. This might even go in the All the World's a Stage file. So what gives? Why Gensler's sudden about face? Odds are there's a coherent strategy behind his contradictory statements. As a seasoned bureaucrat, Gensler understands better than most how negotiations work in Washington. Effective policymakers employ a negotiating technique called anchoring, in which they set their first offer far away from the expected outcome. Think Representative, anyway, go on from that. These initial proposals are often outlandish and have virtually no chance of becoming law. This is likely the logic behind Gensler's actions at the SEC. By taking the hardline position that everything other than Bitcoin is a security, he has set a frame of negotiation and all but forced Congress to take action on legislation. Enter digital commodities. That's a thumbnail right there. Enter digital commodities. Congress response to Gensler's the McHenry-Thompson bill, which far from labeling everything but Bitcoin as security, carves out a wholly new asset class known as digital commodities. Anyway, what they're basically floating here is the idea that what everything Gensler has done has been for the purpose of forcing Congress to pass legislation. And without that pressure, they wouldn't have felt the need to get up and go. Interesting concept. Then we've got this from Black Swan Capitalist,
which together have decided at central bank level to go with a digital currency. So central bank digital currency is coming alive.
Right now, digital currency sounds very edgy and kind of alternative lifestyle, but it's becoming the mainstream. And so the banks, the largest banks in particular, are very aware of this. They're investing in the technology, and they will provide this service as soon as it's profitable enough.
I have the good fortune of being the CEO at Ripple. Ripple sells a set of technologies to banks and other financial institutions that dramatically accelerate the ability for banks and regulated financial institutions to settle transactions between each other.
Some say Ripple could be the next Bitcoin. What do you think, Brad? Is that a compliment that Ripple could be the next Bitcoin?
Well, I think if we're solving a real problem and it's at scale, then I think it's a compliment. I think the most important thing that is going on in crypto is understanding what is real and what is just hype.
Which together have decided.
There you go. Great video. Check this out. Just in, crypto exchange Bittrex has chosen to contest the SEC's complaint against it. It extends support for XRP, ADA, DOG. Does that mean they relisted? No. They must not have relisted. They extend support. I'm assuming that means they never did officially drop it. I don't know. Then there was this picture going around last night. It looks like Brad Garlinghouse and Michael Arrington. By the way, Michael Arrington looks like he has really gotten in shape. I met him when I was in Singapore. He's Brad Garlinghouse's best friend. Looks like they still are. And it looks like they're at a proper 4th of July party. And in fact, the official cool guy of the Digital Asset Investor channel, I don't know if he was there with the official cowboy or if that's just him putting a picture together. Looks like he's ready to go to a proper party. But anyway, those guys are looking sharp, and it looks like they are at a proper party. And by the way, proper party is a reference to what Brad Garlinghouse said at XRP Las Vegas, that after this is all over, we'll have a proper party. I'm the Digital Asset Investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family that even though my internet connection got nuked and my modem got nuked, by lightning that I was able to get it done anyway. Thanks for listening.